I want to welcome everybody to the second part of this event. And here we'll be listening to some discussion about the raw materials of interest. And the first speaker that we'll be having to tutor us is no other person than Dr. Just a minute, Dr. Olusola T Kayode. She'll be taking on the stage as she presents for everyone's consumption. Dr. Olusola, over to you, ma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bola, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for having me. As you rightly said, my name is Olusola T Kayode of Physics, Covenant University, Nigeria. I bring greetings from the Chancellor of the University in person of Bishop David Oyedepo and the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Humphrey Adebayo. So my topic of this, and I welcome everyone once again to this first maiden edition of Kasambi conference. The topic of this presentation is leveraging Canadian uranium for African development, and it's a brief review. These are the content, introduction, origin of uranium, opportunities, challenges, and the conclusion. The president has defined raw materials. I'll give the introduction. I'll say substances used in primary production or manufacturing of goods. An example of raw materials include wood, coal, rubber, cellulose, oil, coal, natural gas, fuels, diamond, precious metals, uranium, bauxite, other heavy metals, ivory, silk, and other animal products. So this uranium research, which is the focus of this conference, we need to now talk about it solely. Uranium is a very hard and heavy naturally occurring radioactive element. It is found in rocks worldwide. It is a non-renewable energy source. It is called pitch blende or uranium ore when found abundant in rocks. And the natural environment of this element uranium is in rocks, in soil, and water. A brief history of this uranium. Uranium radioactive element, yes, it has played a significant role in various aspects of human history, particularly in the context of nuclear energy production. We have a brief history of uranium raw material worldwide. The discovery of this thing in the early 20th century, uranium was discovered by a German chemist known as Martin Heinrich Klaproth in 1789. This uranium was actually named after the planet Uranus, which had been discovered just a few years earlier. So in the late 19th and 20th century, uranium was principally used for its distinctive fluorescent properties in glass and ceramic. It has a shining properties, so it was used in glass and ceramics. Then after the World War, during the World War II, the significance of uranium changed dramatically during the World War. The discovery of nuclear fission by post-World War II, about 1940s and 1950s, there was a shift in the use of uranium from military to civilian applications. And this led to the development of nuclear power as a subsidy. Then there was between the 90s, between about the time for both here. There was an exploration mining activity in various countries. Now in 1960s to 90s, there was a rapid expansion of power programs in many countries around the world, leading increase in mass welfare rates. Countries Canada, Kazakhstan, the Uranium. And the collapse of there was a collapse of Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. It led to a surplus of uranium and this surplus led to, so now as for the expansion of nuclear power, okay, this was already done this. So challenge and decline. The collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the war led to surplus of this uranium on the global market, and this caused a decrease in prices and a slowdown in exploration mining activity. So so that's actually led to a decline in uranium production or mining. So around resurgence in uranium due to factors like energy carbon emission and growing in nuclear loss. So countries like China, India, significant fund their nuclear contributing interest in uranium production. So the uranium mining, faces a lot of regulatory challenges, which include conserved active humanity and potential for depletion. So Africa be found in rockwood. Toxicity effects make global issue of concern. In countries like Canada, all of them, they have overall increases in the resources. It's uranium. So the record has the Africa a table user of uranium. So now the record has it that African producer of uranium in 1915 in the belt, So Namibia and some other countries, particularly in the Namib Desert region, also has an appreciable amount of deposit. The Rustin uranium mine, one of the largest open pit uranium mine in Namibia. Although in Niger Republic, Niger is another important African uranium producer. Mine industry scientists. Countries which can uranium companies, unlike in Namibia, Niger, and South Africa. Okay, you didn't see the South Africa. Okay, I think I missed this slide. The early discoveries included deposits in countries like Namibia, South Africa, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. South Africa is in the development of Tonga, and country has substantial uranium reserves, and activities were closely linked to its nuclear weapon produced during the apartheid. So now Iraq was back in the 1930s and 1940s, where the geologists began exploring the northern region of the province for many minerals, including uranium. Uranium mining in Saskatchewan, Canada, has a relatively relatively recent history compared to other regions. It has become a significant part of the province economy. Global uranium. Today, Saskatchewan is one of the world's largest producers of uranium. The province's deposits are considered some of the highest grade uranium reserves globally. So the key mining operations include those owned and operated in companies like Carmelo Corporation, Urano Canada, and others there. So the uranium mining industry in Saskatchewan is subject to strict environmental regulations and safety standards, ensuring responsible mining practices and minimize the environmental surrounding communities. So this is a picture of how a uranium ore looks like. We say when it is found in nature, and it is abundant in a rock, we call it uranium, or we call it a pitch blend. So what are the applicants with this uranium found in Saskatchewan? Collaborating with Canada and other experienced nations in the nuclear energy can foster knowledge exchange. It could be knowledge exchange between these countries. It could be technology transfer, investments and opportunities, among other possibilities. Then drawing from the successful models of uranium utilization in other African countries can tailor their strategies to suit their unique circumstances, optimizing the potential of Canadian uranium in African sustainable energy future. In nuclear medicine is a crucial way to harness Canadian uranium. the spread, the treatment can be used. Uranium is used in the treatment of cancer. You can use it to stop the spread and to control the spread of cancer, which is a very good way Africa can actually harness this Canadian uranium. Also in nuclear energy, enormous benefit can harness from embracing nuclear energy, which has been an established source of electricity for other advanced countries of the world. With over 600 million population in Africa, the pride of clean cooking technologies and electric power can be immensely used from and be immensely gotten from these resources if well implemented. So infrastructure, also development, is another significant consideration. Leveraging Canadian energy resources, Africans should work on improving their infrastructure to enable us to benefit immensely from the importation of these useful raw materials. Establishing a robust uranium extraction, processing infrastructure is very crucial to ensuring a smooth and sustainable supply. So African nations must invest in adequate facilities and technology effectively to harness the Canadian uranium, considering factors such as transportation, mining operations, and risk management. So also regulatory policies. Addressing regulatory policies is equally pivotal in this context. Developing appropriate regulatory policies and framework that uranium extraction, trade, and usage is essential to guaranteeing good security and environmental sustainability of this resource. Collaborative effort between African nations and Canada to establish mutually beneficial regulatory guidelines will be instrumental in facilitating the responsible utilization of uranium resources. So international partnership forms a great cornerstone of the successful utilization of Canadian uranium. What are the challenges that African countries could face while trying to leverage on this Canadian uranium? We have social, environmental, geopolitical, and regulatory factors. I hope you can still see me. Okay. So social and community engagement. This is a crucial factor as local communities in Africa may have concerns about the environmental, they may have concerns about the environmental and health implication of uranium mining. Also, its potential effects on traditional livelihoods. Awareness of the benefits of these mining activities is needed for successful operations. Then also environmental concerns. We have water pollution, as you know that uranium is highly radioactive, so radioactive contamination, environmental disruption, and some of the significant environmental impacts of uranium mining and processing needs to be put into consideration. We need to be able to mitigate this risk and take responsible and sustainable mining practices. Health and safety. Also, the exposure of workers to radiation hazards during the mining and the processing of uranium can be a challenge. So protective equipment and strict adherence to safety protocols with adequate training will help minimize health risk. So market dynamics is also one of the challenges. Price fluctuations are a critical challenge to the global community, and this is subject to a result of geopolitical tensions, demand of nuclear energy and policy changes, change in government and change everything. African companies must be ready for these market dynamics when leveraging on this Canadian uranium. So in conclusion, I want to say the transformative potential of Canadian uranium is in Africa's sustainable energy landscape, and promoting socio-economic advancement cannot be overemphasized. With a proactive approach, strategic planning, and international collaboration, African nations can unlock the vast benefits of Canadian uranium, paving the way for a brighter and more sustainable future. These are some of the references for this presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Olusola Kayode, for that wonderful presentation. I believe everybody has benefited from it, and I've learned one or two things from the lecture. And I believe that Ms. Olusola will graciously release the PowerPoint, which will be put on the website. So if anybody still wants to go through the PowerPoint, they can easily access that by going to the center's website.
Okay.
Is there anyone that want to ask Ms. Olusola any question? Okay, can we have Mr. Agbo Sunday.
Very much, Dr. Kayode, for that a wonderful
Yes, please.
From what I can see is a wonderful research, uranium, and we are looking at leveraging Canadian uranium for Africa development. And we know that the Africa, in fact, when it comes to raw material, Africa is the hope of the world. And from what your presentation, you are from Nigeria, right?
Yes.
I hope you are from Nigeria, yes, okay. And from your work, I didn't see, does it mean that we don't have uranium deposits in our country? I think this conference is more like showcasing our own raw material. Just like you mentioned Niger, I think in this very country we have enough uranium deposits that should have maybe searched and included. Just your topic says leveraging on Canadian uranium for Africa development. I think we have enough uranium. Our problem has been the technological developments and what have you. So my kind of contribution, I will kind of ask that you go further to search literature. There must be literature. We have enough uranium in this very country, especially in Maiduguri and some part of the country. So that at least when you are mentioning African countries, Nigeria should be one of them. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Agbo, for that.
I'm done.
Addition.
I hope you got me.
Yes.
It's a kind of contribution.
But let me add to this, Mr. Agbo. What I could depict is I used to be a geologist back in Nigeria. I'm a registered geologist with COMEG, and I've been privileged to work, around Nigeria. But one thing I discover is that our data is so poor. We don't really have all these things articulated together, and because of the blessing of the black gold, the government, really turned a deaf ear to the solid mineral sector, and that is really, really hampering the growth of the mineral sector in Nigeria. And the second thing I want to emphasize on, based on Dr. Olusola's research, is that while the president was giving his inaugural speech, he said something. He said, Saskatchewan is the world's leading supplier of uranium. They only use 10% of what they are producing to generate electricity. And the electricity is clean. It is eco-friendly. And now that we don't even know the exact reserve, the occurrence of uranium in Nigeria as a country, talk less of knowing the environmental friendliness of the uranium deposit we have and the associated minerals, we can't really put so much emphasis on that, except we just want to, project what we don't really have on paper. So if Saskatchewan can use just 10% and export 90%, now this is one of the impacts the center is trying to make. If you go through some daily news papers in Nigeria, the president is trying his best to encourage Nigeria as a country to tap into their raw materials we all know what the dollar exchange to naira is saying at this moment in time. And you can imagine that our crude oil is being refined in Nigeria, and we don't have to worry about international, price of crude products. So you know how much we are going to save in our foreign reserve. But unfortunately, the government is not trying in that regard, talk less of the solid mineral sector. So I still want to go in line with the presentation of Dr. Olusola that if African governments, for instance, Nigeria, we virtually every part of Nigeria is a perpetual darkness. And if Canadian is using 10% of their uranium to generate electricity, I think what the government can do is just to partner with all those, foreign countries and try to bring in the foreign investors, at least to generate light. I believe that if we can solve power generation issues in Nigeria, I think Nigeria will have a quick turnaround. But without that, I don't think anything meaningful can be done in the solid mineral sector. And let me bust your bubble. When I was having my master's degree in UI, I carried out, because I'm a geochemist in the geology field. So I carried out some research around Oyo State. And if I tell you that Oyo State in Nigeria should not even be relying on the federal allocation, they have enough solid mineral reserve, gem reserves around Komu towards Shaki area that they can exploit and make good, generate good funds from to sustain the state, and ensure that every of their citizens, are living, above the poverty line. But it is just sad that we are where we are. And I can only pray that our leaders listen to people who are really into mineral exploration and exploitation and guide them appropriately on how to harness all those resources for the growth and economic prosperity of our nation.
I am, as being introduced as Bukola O Afolabi, coming from the background of industrial and production engineering. I'm here this afternoon to present to you on the topic, the role of ergonomics in mining, operations, extraction and processing of raw materials. I will present the paper going through the overview there. Introductions, the aim of the paper, the method employed in the research, the result, and the discussions, and thereby come up with conclusion and recommendations. Introduction. Raw materials. We have heard a lot about raw materials today. President has talked about raw materials as natural resources. Raw is the same thing as crude. It's an unfinished or unrefined natural resources used to manufacture finished goods. Any country that has it and discovered it plays central roles in the production processes and add to economic sources of that country. Based on their sources, they are categorized and they are relatively non-useful, or let me say they are limited in use in their original state except being discovered, extracted, and processed. Categorization of raw materials. We have plant-based raw materials. We can see example on the screen where we have cacao being transformed to chocolate. Animal-based, we have cattle here. We have it in our beef burger. And we have mind-based raw materials. You can see potash here, and they are being transformed. Okay, as I was talking before on categorization of raw materials, all raw materials are limited use in their original state, if at all they can be used. But value chain has to be put in place to transform them from the original state to the finished product that is useful for human, animal, or for the society. In the supply chain of raw material, we have production and we have distribution. But this distribution cannot come to place except we first of all extract it and process it, which we have talked about, the transforming it from the original state to the finished products. Mining work system as it is. Products of mining have significant improved human livelihood, and are at the bedrock of several industries. Many of what we are using are mined products. Think of plastics, think of metals, think of anything we can even imagine. They are mined products. It has long been characterized by strenuous work carried out in demanding environments. And it is often virtual interaction in between man and machine. Man and environment. It may be immediate environments, has to do with the tools and equipment man are using, or general environment, which you may have to talk about the environmental factor, the nature of soil, or the nature of a certain factor around the place where the mining operation is being performed. As I've said it before, I'm still saying and lay emphasis on it, that none of the natural resources can be used at their best except they are being mined and processed. Getting it to the process is the major thing that we are trying to look into. The roles of ergonomics in mining operation, the extraction of it and processing of it. What is ergonomics? The term ergonomics is divided into major two words. In Latin, is ergonomics. This means, ergo means works, and why nomics means natural law. So in any work we are doing, there's natural law that are guiding it. If we are doing it well, we reach the benefit of it, and if we are doing it wrongly, we may have the other way around. Ergonomics is the study of how we interact with our environment, especially at work and in our daily life, be it in the kitchen, be it on the dining, be it in the sitting room. How do we sit? How do we eat? How do we hold our utensils and manage it? That's what ergonomics has to do with. Even the footwear, even the cap we wear, the pen we use to write, if it is too big, are we going to be able to hold it well and write well? It is dedicated to making our environment more comfortable. The perspective of ergonomics is that things must be designed for man. Man should not be designed for anything. You shouldn't be adapting man to his situation. Rather, you adapt situation to the man, to his convenience, to his comfort, to his safety, so that man will be able to perform efficiently and be safe. Ergonomics is the science of work which applies principles to the sense of workplaces, work environments, system, equipment, jobs, and work processes. Looking at this definition, ergonomics is not asking you to redesign man. Redesign man in the sense that maybe man that is 7 feet tall, you are now designing a way that man will be passing to be 4 feet. That should be a redesigning man to move away from his neutral position. Ergonomics ensure a match between the human operator's capability and limitation with the tools, tasks, and job demand to ensure the health, the efficiency, and the well-being of the employee within a safe and comfortable workplace. Ergonomics is not about designing for people. It's about designing for people wherever they interact with product, system or processes. Focus of ergonomics in mining. When we look at some pictures on the slides, we see some people in the mining environments. The focus of ergonomics is the fit between miners' capability and limitation, and the demands of this work system. It is seek to optimize human performance, including productivity, health, and safety. Looking at these pictures, we could see man performing both manual and working with equipments. These are done in a repetitive manner. And this is the aim of this work. What are we stand to gain by looking at the role of ergonomics in mining operations? Is to investigate the consequences of poor ergonomics in the raw materials mining work system, is to determine how the application of ergonomics can help in improving working conditions of mine worker, and to recommend area for future research and improvements. Methodologies. The data used in this study were compiled from Queensland Mines and Quarry Safety Performance and Health Report. This data covers fatal injuries, serious accidents, hazard or high potential incidents, mechanism of lost time injury, permanent incapacity. Data were analyzed using descriptive statistics of mean, standard deviations, maximum and minimum values for the specified period. Findings were presented in tables and figures. Result and discussion. Result and discussion are presented under hazard-dependent factors in mining work system. What are the factors that are responsible for hazards in mining work system? After the hazard occurred, death away from work due to hazardous incidents, permanent incapacity due to incurred injuries, and fatal hazards. Hazard dependence factor, these are consequences of poor ergonomics in raw materials mining work system. With respect to mine location, be it on the surface, be it underground, these are the dependence factors and consequences. Dependent factors are operational, environmental, and human, and their consequences, as we have seen it, is fatal injury. As I've mentioned it before, serious accident, non-fatal injuries, day away from work, and permanent incapacity and loss of body parts. Dependent factor, considering operations. I hope the figure here can be seen clearly.
Yes.
Okay. These are different operations that are being performed in mining working system. Getting the raw material from the original state is not easily come by. And based on this, even it was recorded that the lifespan of the mine workers is in between 40, it's not up to 60 and 56. There are different operations here. And when we look at those charts, bar charts, we can see the time frame of 2017 to 2018, which is in blue, 2018 to 2019, which is in green, and 2019 to 2020, which is in red. These are the incidents, injury induced through operation based on the varied years. Will you agree with me that drilling rig, which is characterized with vibration when you are working with machine, that's why I call it operational. When you are working with machines, the vibration affect human being and induce some cumulative trauma in the life of human. And as a result of this, its performance is definitely going to be affected. We could say that some are in 0 levels and some are in some percentage like 20, 20, 45, and 40 thereabouts. The more area of concerns are those that are very recent, that is between 2019 and 2020. When we look at that of fixed power tools, it has highest percentage, fragments, particles, and dust. That's another higher percentage, most recent. We have this in developed country because where the data is sourced is from Australia. I don't think we have anything like this in Africa, if at all, in Nigeria. And there are many that have been practicing these kinds of things. I find it difficult to get some information on these operational and many hazardous effects in Canada. When I look through, it seems as if they have put some things in place. Looking at the surface mining of minerals, those are the nature of hazards. And looking at the underground, that's another nature of hazard. Those charts, those bars indicate the level of induced hazards. Dependent factor based on environments. This injury incurred in surface mine mineral for the period of 2017 to 2020. Most often it occurs that people normally fall, sleep from a height in the mining work system. And when we look through this table, we will see that the highest percentage there is attributed to fall. We have the mean of 12.93%. with standard deviation of 0.058. The maximum value is 80.20%, and the minimum is 6.70% of injured people as a result of the environment where they're working. There are some people that have been trapped when they are trying to generate these natural resources, as we have said, as we have talked about their importance, but many people are endangering themselves before they can recover this or bring it to the surface. We can see vehicle collision and others. Looking at the underground mine, it seems as if the percentage of falls is higher than that compared to that in the surface. And we have other environmental factors that induce hazards on operators. Dependent factor, now considering human. This has to do with organizational induced outside through different organization factors, like procedure. Considering the procedure in mining work system, in 2019 to 2020, we can see that the procedure is very poor because it incurred 40.0% of injury on workers as a result of poor procedures. When we look at that of communication, as a result of poor communication also in the working place, we could say that 2019 to 2020 as the highest. That's corresponded to training, lack of training, induced higher in 2019 to 2020, as well as working with the hardwares. Individual or team action induced hazard through different socio-technical factors. As a result of awareness, we see that in 2017 to 2018, we have like 50% and 50+ percentage in 2018. We can notice some kinds of fluctuation there. But coming from attitudes, you can see attitude, communication, ability, teamwork, fatigue, and other individual team factors. It's more of recent times that more recent time, meaning between 2019 and 2020, that this thing induced more hazards on the workers in mining system. All these things has to be looked into. As a result of injury, there are more loss of time. We have experienced the one that is induced through operation, through environment, and through human. As a result of those one, on surface mineral exploration, we have 33% of lost hours, of lost time away from work. When we take 33 from 100, we can say how this one can adversely affect the production of raw materials. And as a result of this, it will definitely affect the distribution of it. Underground has 60% of it in 2017 to 2018. When we come to 2019 to 2020 again, number of lost time injury increased to 36% on the surface, while on the underground, it increased to 25%. What are we trying to say? Does that mean that the factors are not well addressed, or they are not given priorities? And if the people happen to be a key factor in extracting natural resources, and the same workers are being denied to come to work as a result of one injury or the other, this will definitely hinder the distribution of raw material across board. Loss of time, injury frequency rate, I think this one has been addressed with the first one. Further hazards. Further hazard means the lives that are being claimed through either environmental factor, human factors, or operational factor. Looking across the employees and the number across the factor that causes the incidents, we can see that force has the highest percentage, which is 28% overall. And this is followed by collisions. And more of these has to do with environmental factor as well as factored, and maybe because the nature of the ground is not well evaluated. Determination of how the application of ergonomics can help in improving working conditions of mine workers. We have domain of specialization in ergonomics, physical ergonomics, cognitive ergonomics, as well as organizational ergonomics. This has to do with workers and workplace or workstation. Workplace or workstation are characterized by the tools that you work with, the environment where you work, and the workload. Workload means the time you spend on a particular work. Physical ergonomics. They has to do with physical body of human being. It focuses on injury prevention through design and evaluation of workplaces, including posture. That is the posture that you take when you are working, the manual task, and repetitive movement. From the picture I've shown before, we'll see that the operation in the mining sector is more repetitive, and the posture they take in mining sector is often away from neutral position. In addition to reducing injury, it also focuses on how to increase productivity and reduce quality issues and errors. This physical ergonomics, when it is applied, it examines the ways in which people's body interacts with the tools they use on daily basis. Let's come to our kitchen and our dining. It has spoon that we use in the kitchen. And it is improper for us to take that spoon on the dining to say we want to eat with it. We can hold it with our hand, but our mouth will not be able to accommodate the size of the food of the spoon. That's for different work environment, there are different tools that are appropriate for it. The essence of physical ergonomics is to design what is appropriate for human to prevent injury. The second one is cognitive ergonomics. And this has to do with the brain, the thinking faculty. It enhancing performance and productivity. Cognitive overload, when it is reduced, minimize error by designing work environment that align with human cognitive capacity. When we are working in extremely high temperature, we easily can evaluate our performance. But when the environment is conducive, we know how well we perform. It enhancing, when it is applied, it enhancing performance and productivity. Cognitive ergonomics helps in reducing mental fatigue and stress by offering strategies to optimize workload distribution. Workload distribution in the sense that what is this mind is capable to do. If this is a repetitive work in the mining sector, how long can this personnel stay on work before I transfer it to another? You know, there are some work when you are doing it and when fatigue setting, you often commit error than doing the work efficiently. It improves decision making, provide employees with the necessary tools, information, and decision support system to make informed. When you are informed, you are equipped to make less mistakes. It enhances learning and training. This improves knowledge transfer, skill development, and long-term retention. From the result I have shared with us, we could say that as a result of training, there are some injuries that are being induced. It promoting human-machine interaction. Considering cognitive factors in the design of human-machine interfaces, the system can reduce error. When you know the limitation and the strength of a human being or the operators, you'll be able to design what is fit for that human, and this will allow the human to make limited or no error, increase efficiencies, and promote safety. Organization ergonomics. This is concerned with optimization of socio-technical systems. It emphasizes on achievement of both excellence and technical performance and quality in people's work lives. It encompasses organization structures, policies, and processes. It is relevant to human communication successes or failure. If it is well harnessed, there will be successes in communication. And if it is poorly harnessed, it will result in failure. And it helps in work system, design of work times, teamwork, and participatory ergonomics. Conclusively, from the study, it was shown that humans in mining work system have been negatively affected through their interaction with other elements of the work system, such as the equipment and tools they work with, the personal protective measure they put on, and the environment where they work. And this negative effect on human as a key element in the work system can adversely impact raw material extraction and distribution. When the key element cannot perform well, there is definitely going to be a negative effect on the extraction of raw materials and the distribution of it. Many potential hazards can be designed out at the plant stage, provided that sufficient information is gathered. What is this is trying to address that in any environment after you have explored and you have discovered or identified the location for minerals, the proper study must be carried out to know the nature of soil and the characteristics of environment
Are you a baby that you bang
Must be carried out.
Economic
design of a vehicle and facility in mining sites. Study of comfort environmental parameters in mining sites. Among machine system design of higher level automation, e.g. robotics, especially in highly volatile environments. When we have highly volatile environment, instead of man to go to the area, it is advised that robotic should be allowed to take up the work. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Should I say Engineer Afolabi Bukola, for that wonderful presentation. And before I ask people to indicate if they have any questions, I just want to reiterate the fact that, I said before we commenced the second lecture, I said it is very, very important for everybody to listen, because agronomics is not only particular to mining. It goes across all, areas of different operation. Just like some of us are seated on our chair, on our table, and looking at our laptops. But the truth of the matter is, in no time, some of us might be feeling pain, back pain. Maybe it's because as a result of the chair we are seated on is not comfortable. Maybe it is too low or the table is too high. It could be. So now we are now relating this into mining activities. And you know that the theme for this conference is like the reasons for global shortage of raw materials. Now, we are now bringing this into it now, because if the people that are working are not in good state, health-wise, then there will be shortage of raw materials. So I just want to give the floor to people. If you have any questions you want to ask Dr. Afolabi, kindly raise up your hand, and we'll give you the floor to ask your question.
Okay, exactly. I just wanted to hear exactly if people come in this mining process. Do you come in to talk to the people at the mining, at the operational office, or do you lecture people? Do you train the workers in the mining industry? Where exactly do you come in, or you just publish your work on the, in a journal for people to, whoever cares to read it? Because if this is what you do, how do you get the people involved knowing all of these things?
As the moderator have rightly said, ergonomics is applicable to every field of life. And the major purpose of ergonomics is all about human safety and optimal productivity. Anything you are doing, if you are not doing it in an appropriate way, it will not be done efficiently. That shows you will be putting more and realizing little. Majorly, ergonomics is an aspect of industrial engineering. Anything that is associated with industry is to train people to apply some basic rules so as to be able to optimize their work performance. Am I communicating now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. The essence is to help human being, because in everything we are doing in life, human being is the key player. And if the key player is not in good shape, it will not be able to perform optimally. Ergonomics is all about designing the equipment you use, as I have said, the chair you sit on, the vehicle that carries you around, the spoon and the pen that you use, all has to do with ergonomics. Except these natural materials, they are discovered and extracted. All these things we are seeing outside is nowhere to be found. But in getting this thing out, it is full of some hazardous activities, or strenuous activities, those to say. But the proper way, doing it in the proper way, will help you to realize what you want to realize, at the same time to have good health on the side of the worker. They're getting it out for you, and you yourself will be able to get the appropriate quality and quantity at the time you need it. But if the workers in the mining sector, they are not in good shape, we will not be able to, we will leave many even natural mineral resources. Life follow without being attended to. But design through ergonomics will help people to work well in this environment to get them out. We work directly at the level of where it's being extracted. We work directly with the level at which it is being processed, and getting it across to those that are distributing it. An optimal way of distributing it is also part of ergonomics. Thank you, ma'am.